Today, the Trump administration attempted to block Harvard University from bringing in more international students. Harvard obviously filed a lawsuit. A judge in Massachusetts said the administration doesn't have the authority to do so. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what Harvard put on X, formerly Twitter. Harvard said Harvard wouldn't be Harvard without its international students. What? Let's talk about it. Let's talk numbers. Right now, 27% of Harvard's student body is made up of international students. That's more than 1 in every 4 students. And Harvard just posted on X, without its international students, Harvard is not Harvard. Now, I want you to stop. Whatever you're doing, stop. And think about what they're actually saying. They're saying that without that 27%, the identity of the institution, the soul of Harvard, will cease to exist. Really? Are we now supposed to believe that the defining character of America's oldest and most prestigious university hinges on foreign enrollment? Now, let me offer a radical idea. Apparently too radical for the faculty lounge at Cambridge, Massachusetts. What if those seats, those thousands of highly coveted admissions slots, were opened up to poor black kids from Detroit, or poor white kids from Appalachia, or poor Latino students in Texas, or poor Native kids on reservations? What if we gave them the full force of a Harvard education instead of shipping that opportunity abroad? What if instead of pouring all that prestige, mentorship, and opportunity into the children of wealthy elites from overseas, just what if we poured it into underserved Americans? Now, yes, Harvard does a little of this, but the percent of underserved pales in comparison to that of the international students. But that's the way Harvard likes it. Now, I'm not saying Harvard can't have international students. Sure, have some. Diversity of thought is fine, even if it's from an international community. But you cannot tell me with a straight face that there aren't thousands and thousands of American students right here at home, born into poverty, hardship, broken school systems, and yet they still thrived academically with superior intellectual curiosity. But despite structural neglect, they often aren't given an opportunity. Yet these students could thrive if given that same slot Harvard continues to give out to that 27% of wealthy international students. This is the part the left doesn't want to grapple with. Their obsession with globalism has led them to literally overlook their own people, American citizens. And Harvard will twist itself into knots to admit a student from a private academy in Geneva, but will it fight to find brilliance in a forgotten public school in rural Mississippi, in South Central LA, in the barrios of El Paso, or maybe in a native tribe in Arkansas or Oklahoma? You want equity, you want justice, then stop exporting the American dream to the highest global bidder. Start reinvesting it here in our children. Now, I'm not saying we should ban international students. I've already said that. What I am saying is this. When you're sitting on a $50 billion endowment, and that's B, 50 billion with a B, when you have the resources to lift up thousands of American families from poverty, when you claim to care about equity and access and justice, maybe, just maybe, you should prioritize the kids in Detroit, the kids in Ohio and Iowa, before you go recruiting from wealthy families in China. Harvard could admit more students full ride tomorrow and never even fill it. But instead, we get platitudes like, without our international students, we're not Harvard. No, wrong. You are Harvard because of the ideals that built America, because of the freedom, the opportunity, the relentless drive for greatness that this country and its people created. You don't need to import identity. You need to remember yours. And let me say it again for the folks in the back. If 27% of your campus is international and you're still saying underserved Americans are underrepresented, then maybe, just maybe, you should look at where your priorities are. But again, Harvard, they don't care because Harvard believes it owes the world admissions. It does not. It owes America excellence. And if they forget that, they'll stop being Harvard the way that ever mattered to begin with. I'm sure Michael Singleton. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are at the bottom. Again, I'm not saying that Harvard can't have international students, but 1 out of every 4? Imagine the opportunities in places like Muscatine, Iowa, a place I visited so many years ago, Appalachia. Imagine all the poor black kids from places like Detroit and LA and Georgia. Imagine the poor Latino kids in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Just imagine the American kids across the racial spectrum, but who are poor, but brilliant intellectually, who will never be given an opportunity to attend an institution like Harvard, not because they haven't worked their butts off, not because they would not earn it because of merit, but because Harvard would rather have 27% of its student body be filled with rich-ass international students instead of American students who made Harvard great to begin with. And keep this in mind. Those international students want to come to Harvard because of the prestige that was built here. Because if any other institution in the world could do what Harvard has done, with the exception of our great folks at Oxford, you'd have a Harvard in China, you'd have a Harvard in Russia and Germany and in France, and all of those international students would be going there. And yeah, there are some good schools in those places, but none of them are Harvard. And we all know that to be the truth. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm sure Michael Singleton. I'll see you on the next one. Take care and God bless.